Hey everybody, it's June 11th, 2007. I am Sonic Sons, and my next topic is what I call spiritual malnutrition. Now, this is kind of a topic personal towards me, at least as far as the example I know of. But I think the general principle of it can apply to a lot of different people in a lot of situations, because we're not all that much different. So, I came up with this term from a few months ago. I was in college, right, and I was feeling really bad one day, and it was actually kind of a thing, like I felt it a bit, and then it went away, and then I kind of felt it again, and kind of over the last several days. And I woke up this one morning, and without any physical problem, and without any particular reason to feel emotionally bad in any regard, I just kind of felt, not fully depressed, but this general cloud just in my emotions, in the spiritual aspect. By the way, you don't have to be a Christian to watch this video or anything. I'm not gonna, I don't mean spiritual in the technical sense you may be thinking. I'm talking about emotions, spirit, same thing. So, being the introspective person that I am, I started trying to analyze where I was getting this, right? Why I felt bad. So I started walking around, because I often walk when I'm thinking, and I came up with the thing that it was basically loneliness, which is kind of weird. And it wasn't that I was feeling oppressively lonely and everything, and that no one wants to talk to me or whatever. No, I had friends. I still do have friends, both at college and at home. But I've been having what I've termed a spiritual malnutrition about it. And to say, I wasn't starving for, in this case, contact with other people, right? It could be applied to a whole bunch of cases, right? It wasn't that I was starving, that I had a serious problem, but that over the last few months, on average, I hadn't seen as many people as I ought to, Like malnutrition, it wasn't one incident that caused any of this. It was a long series of slight failures. Each day I didn't really talk to many people. Alright? Like malnutrition, it built up slowly, and you don't really realize it when you're not getting the right vitamins and stuff. You slowly start to have problems, but you don't think of it. Like malnutrition, when it came, it would come and go and come and go. When you don't have the right nourishment physically, you'll feel a problem for a while, and then you'll seem to be okay with it for a bit. Maybe you'll have, say, some food that has the stuff you need, and that'll make you feel better for the next day, and then it'll kind of come back, and then it'll kind of, and weird things like that. Like malnutrition, this thing couldn't be cured with one swoop, right? You can't just give somebody a boatload of vitamins one day and then, okay, now your problems are fixed. You have to do it by habit. It has to be a constant series of small successes, counteracting that previous set of small failures. So, yeah, basically, I'm looking at myself, I figure, I don't quite have it in seeing as many people as I should. It used to be in high school. I go to lunch each day, and we had an hour of lunch, and every day, therefore, or school anyway, I had that 1 hour where I had 8 friends with me, right? And also friends in a few other classes. The lunch, of course, is the biggest thing. And that's really all I needed. I'm generally, pretty independent. We had this one class where the first thing we had to do was take a personality test and, make a little presentation in front of the class about what we got on the personality test and how we think that applies to us. Well, first of all, I hate personality tests, because I'm looking at this thing, and it's 50 different questions. There are many, many questions, but a whole bunch of questions that ask, essentially the same thing with different wording. And it was would you rather be logical or compassionate? And I was I can't choose that. What are we both? So I ended up doing like random answers anyway. But some people, getting back on topic, some people doing this thing, they did the presentation on the personality, and some people like they needed to have something to do, like each day, like they go home and they need to have something scheduled with somebody, going out to see some movie or do something with someone, and otherwise they just freak out. I remember watching that and thinking to myself, wow, that's exactly the opposite of me, because I can just go for days without talking to anybody, because I'm just working on my ideas and such, and that's perfectly fine. Thing is, even me, the guy who's perfectly fine being independent, had generally taken this a bit too far as my own self-analysis goes. Because I said previously, I'd had that 1 hour every day where I had a bunch of friends, and sometimes I wouldn't hardly even talk. I would have my notebook out, and I'm like writing down my random ideas, But at any time I wanted to, I could put the notebook down and start talking to people and interact and have that spiritual nourishment, shall we say. There are many components to nourishing one's spirit. Being with friends isn't the only thing, but that's the thing that applies to me. For you, it might be, I don't know, following your dreams, or maybe standing up to somebody who's always domineering over you, or maybe 100 different ways that you've got to feed your spirit, shall I say? I keep coming back to that terminology. So I used to have that, and then I get to college, and first of all, in college you don't know anybody, and eventually I met some people, but each day I'd be eating with no one, which is okay by me. I didn't really care. And each day, I go to classes for a few hours, and then I go back to my room and basically just chill in my room all day. And my roommate's a World of Warcraft addict, so he's doing his thing and I'm doing my thing. And from each other's perspective, it's almost like the other one isn't there. We're both like on the laptop, which is fine, right? By itself, I didn't feel lonely. I joined a couple clubs, was in my my game club. So each week I'd spend like 4 hours, for the weekly meeting, playing games with people. That was really fun. Met some people there, and I had my youth group thing, these small groups, the Christian thing, and that was cool. I also met once a week for a few hours. So in that case, I wasn't starving for anything. But like on the weekend, the whole weekend would go by, and like I didn't really talk to anybody, or maybe I would, but just for a bit, and it was something I was perfectly fine with. But, if on average I'm supposed to do this much, and I'm right here, a little bit less than average, but consistently. So after a few months goes by, it just kind of builds up, and one day I'm like, what the heck I'm feeling bad. For no apparent reason. I'm wondering if anybody else knows what I'm talking about with that, kind of another nether sorrow, a sadness that can seem to come out of nowhere. There's no particular reason to be sad, or nether fear, and you seem kind of afraid of things. Wait, why am I? There's nothing reason to be afraid of. Emotions that seem to come out of nowhere, but of course everything comes from somewhere. So, yeah. Eventually thought, I just see more people. And like malnutrition, you need to fix it with a long-term habit. Which I kind of did. Not quite. I saw a few more people. And then I go back to the old habit of not talking to anybody, And then I'd feel a thing, and I go back, and that's where I am now. Over the last, couple of weeks, I've been making sure to, see somebody almost every day, which has been very helpful. Trying to stay in contact with people. While simultaneously keeping my own thing of it has to be non-obligationary. I really hate the idea of when someone calls you and you feel obligated to do something. It should be your own choice when you feel. Because sometimes I legitimately feel like not talking to anybody. Sometimes I just want to watch my Hayao Miyazaki movie in peace. I don't need anybody around right now. But on average, I've been going a little too far in that regard.